Welcome to this tutorial on how to use the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator. Now I'm not going to show you myself using it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an exercise that I used to get good at using the pen tool, and now I've started using it. I've found it much easier to use overall after doing this exercise. Now, first of all, you're just going to come into Illustrator and obviously select the pen tool here. Now you're going to make sure as well that you've got these settings here for Illustrator, where you've got the single red line and the black fill. How you do that is you just click default fill and stroke, and it'll give you the black and white, and then you can just click up here to get the red outline. Now the reason for this is that you want to make sure that you have a black outline. Just show you here like this when you're using the pen tool. So you should have the settings up here should be 1 point, uniform and basic. So let's get started. So you select the pen tool, and what we're going to do first is just create a random shape in the middle. So just one click and just start to move around the screen. And I'm going to come in and do a bit here and just come around here, and unless you already know, you have to close your shape. So you come over to your first starting point where you've got the 0 and you close it there, and that gives you your shape. Now what we're going to do is just play around like a mold of putty. So we're going to select the direct selection tool. This is your part of working with the pen tool, so just select A to select that, and you've got two options here. You can either go along and select path, or you can select an anchor point. Now if you select the path and you drag the path up, it takes a number, it takes both either side of the path up with you. It changes the direction of that. So as we can see, we can move that around a little bit, or we can click on the anchor point and we can directly move that even more. So what I want you to do is just take your shape and start turning it into as closely as possible to a circle using all your points. So just start to drag out some of your parts. So there we go, I'm just clicking on the anchor points and just trying to get a circle. So there we go, that's as good a circle as we're going to get at the moment. So after you've done that, that's you practicing on the anchor points. What I want you to do is just try and make the circle a bit smaller and just go round and just use the path and just click on each of the paths one after the other and just move them in, make them smaller, or make the circle overall smaller. And if you need to go back and adjust any anchor points, then just do that. So just keep doing that, go around a couple of times. As you can see, it's starting to get harder to keep the circle. So there we go, we've been round a couple of times there. So what I want you to do now is just repeat the exercise, except this time I want you to actually drag back out. This might seem a bit pointless, but you'll understand why you're doing it once you get the hang of it. This is really practicing the fundamentals of the pen tool. So there we go. That's us done our circle. Now I'm going to come back to the pen tool and we're going to use something called the delete anchor point tool. So I'm going to click that. And what I want you to do is look at where two of your opposite anchor points are. Let's say the top and the bottom. Now what I want you to do is just on the left hand side, I want you to start going round and just removing all the anchor points between the two on the left hand side, and that'll leave you with a simple shape like that. Now if you do the same again on the right hand side, just remove all these anchor points here. That'll give you a brilliant shape here, and finally it gives you a line. So that's really how you remove your anchor points. Now what we're going to do is come on to the convert anchor point, and we're going to click on anchor up here, and we're going to just drag that out here, and we're going to do the same on the bottom anchor point as well. Just drag that out, so that gives you a C shape there. Now what you're going to do now is just use the pen tool and connect the closing lines back up again. So there we go, one point to the other. And this time again convert anchor point tool, and you're just going to play around with the handle for a minute and click on the anchor point, and that will give you the other side of the circle. So as you can see, we're starting to get a perfect circle here. Now the way that you get a perfect circle and you play around with it is if you take the handles on both sides, and if you notice, if one handle is larger and one is smaller, you don't get a perfect circle. So you have to try and match up the handle points and have them both flat and both around the same location. And what I want you to do is just play around with both the anchor points, so clicking on them and just playing around with the handles here. Then you can go on and let's just make that more of a perfect circle. Yeah. Now you can go on and use the direct selection tool, and what you can do is you can start to use the anchor points and just move the circle a little bit around here as well. And as you notice, you've still got an option of using the handle here. So again, you can keep moving that around. Just get a bit of a feel for what you need to do. And again, try moving the paths as well and just expanding the paths. And as you'll see, the paths actually follow these handles. So if you pull the handles in quite sharp and you start to pull the path, you'll get a much sharper path direction like that. Whereas if you actually pull the handles quite far out, when you pull the path out, it's much wider. So what you need to do is go back to your circle, get everything back to the way it was. You should now find this starts to be a bit easier now that you know about the corresponding handles and just how to position them properly. So there we go, that's us got our circle. Now what you're going to do now is actually create another circle, but what you're going to use this time is the pen tool, and you're going to just create a triangle here at the bottom, and simple again using the direct selection tool. Oh, why is that not moving? I should be able to move this around. For some reason it's not wanting to move anywhere. Never mind. Right, what we're just going to do is just again play around with the triangle shape. Just again using the paths, pulling them around a bit. Now what you're going to do is just put the triangle on the bottom there, and I just want you to round off the edges. So how are you going to do that? You're going to come to the convert anchor point tool and just click on the anchor point at the top and then pull it in the direction so you can see where the curve starts to happen, and again the bottom parts as well. So there you go, you've got your triangle there. Don't know what I'm doing wrong here, that's not allowing me to move the shape, but that should normally be working. Anyway, let's just keep playing around with our triangle. All I'm going to do is just bring this to the point of where the word intersect shows, and that's just bringing us up to the very, as you can see, up to the very edge of exactly where it needs to be to join in with the other shape. So you just pull up your corner there and it says intersect, and that gives you a nice clean intersection. And there you go, you've got your little balancing triangle. So last part of the exercise is to actually just go round the edge. I'm not going to do it, but just go round and do another different amount of sets of shapes. So you want to come round, and this time you want to draw a square, and then come up and draw a hexagonal shape, and then just draw another random shape over here. And all you're going to do is just go round each of the shapes with the convert anchor point tool, just clicking on the anchor point and just curving the edges a bit. This will give you good practice, and then just all you need to do to intersect the point is come up and go to add anchor point, and then you want to click on one of the points off the side of the shape, and that will allow you to drag it, and it will almost anchor in like magic when you're doing it. So let's just repeat that again there. So you take the anchor point, it comes out, and as you drag it in, it clips in to the right place where the intersection is. So you're just going to do that until you've worked around your shape and you've built that up. Now last of all, the thing that I like to do is, that seemed to give me quite a good bit of practice as well, is just coming again onto the pen tool, and this time actually drawing a star shape in the centre of this circle. So just clicking somewhere here, up here, up here, up here, over here, and then down to our point here. Now that's a star shape, it doesn't really look all that good. That's perfect because that's going to give us a little bit of practice with the direct selection tool. So all you need to do is click up on the anchor and just reposition everything so it's just a bit better. Just take the corners, just move them out a bit more. And there you go, that's quite an easy way to do it, and you can play around with the paths as well and just start to pull them in and try to intersect in where the star should be on the inside of the circle. So there we go, we've got our star shape inside our circle. And same thing again is, all you want to do this time is just again select the star and just convert anchor point and work your way around the corners of the star. As you can see, when you're dealing with the anchor points, to make sure that they don't go crossing over, you have to stick to one direction. So for example, if you notice, I'm going round and each of the time I'm pulling to the right hand side. If you pull to the left and it's working, then you have to keep going round and pulling to the left, but as you can see, I'm doing it the right hand side here. So there we go. Let's have a look at our shape. So there we go. And if you want, just you can do another one inside again. You know, just do another star shape. And as you can see, you know, you get a good little bit of practice just lining them up. Again, playing with the paths if you want. We've got a problem with this path. Like, as you can see on the left hand side, when we pull, this pulls right out the whole side. Now if we try it on this side, as you can see, it doesn't work. Now the reason for that is because there's a point here where there's an intersection. There's an anchor point in the middle of this line. So this line here, it doesn't have an anchor point. We can pull the whole path between these two points here, this point and this point. So as you see, we pull that, whereas it doesn't work on this, and the reason for it is because there's an anchor point in the middle there that we accidentally selected when we first done it. So the way you find that out is you just pull the handle here, pull the handle out here, and I'm going to just straighten them up. Take the handles both back to the anchor points, and then lo and behold, now we can move the path. So as you can see, anchor points can help you. As soon as you pull them out though, as soon as you pull the anchor points out, that's when you'll start to find things a bit more different. So again, we can drag the path out, but as you can see, it starts to create a curve. We might not want a curve. So all you do is just grab the handle, just drag it back in, and it almost snaps into where it needs to be as well. That gives us a nice sharp corner. So there you go. That's really all you need to do for learning the Photoshop pen tool. Once you've had a practice that and been around all the shapes, you should find it much easier. Leave some comments and let me know how you get on.